Mr. Mott.
Thank you very much.
Normally, we would make a change here.
Yes.
But I didn't have time to make the change.
No, but you look good like this.
So,
Nice. Imagine some guy just tuning in. He's been out. He's had a few drinks. He just got home. And he says, maybe I'll watch the show for a minute.
And didn't see the first part.
That's right, and sees you sitting here.
So I'm going to have to interview Bruce Dern.
As a mouse.
Dressed like this for the first spot. And then when we have our next break at 12 o'clock, I can change.
Bruce will probably get a big kick out of that.
I want to conduct this interview just as serious as I would a normal interview. Try to forget that I'm wearing this and my tail is up here.
Yeah.
Bruce Dern has been a frequent guest on the...
No. Dignified.
He's a very fine actor. He really is. And after appearances in many films that have been near misses, he finally got in a picture that is really a very big hit. And if you try to get in to see it, you can see the lines around the theater. And it's called Coming Home. It's with Jane Fonda, John Voight, and Bruce Dern. And it's one hell of a movie, and it's one hell of an actor. Mr. Bruce Dern.
Well, Bruce, tell me a little bit about the picture.
Look, you've been interviewed so many times in the past few months since the picture came out. I didn't have time to make the change, so I didn't think you'd mind for just a few seconds if I did it like this.
It's nice.
This is ridiculous. What do you ask a grown man?
Pipe cleaners.
Just little pipe cleaners. We have great special effects people here and costume people, and they've been working on this.
I did a
all
Mighty
week.
CARSON Art Players once.
That's right.
Remember that? With Ed Sullivan.
God, you are absolutely right. That goes back a few years, doesn't it? What year was that?
I don't know. He was...
5 or 6.
We played Dr. Frankenstein and created Ed Sullivan.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Was Vincent Price in that one also?
No.
That's right. You played and
Was it Vincent Price?
stepped out and said, what have we created here? And he comes out of the box. Right here now, ladies and gentlemen, our show. They'd love those things. Look, how does it feel to be in a big hit now? A really
Fantastic.
smash hit.
Fantastic.
Because, folks, I'm trying to conduct this interview on a very aesthetic level.
I mean, you've been in so many pictures.
I've been in a lot of pictures, would have got a lot more business if I'd have been dressed like that.
You've done costume. I mean, you've done far out. You were in a picture called, wait a minute, I'll tell you one.
I was in one that was a prototype for the one you were going to do, the incredible two-headed
You
transplant.
did a thing with the two-headed man, right?
Yeah, my two-headed man was even sicker than the one you talked about in the monologue.
It was a guy with...
2 heads.
Who came up with that?
I don't know. I'm still looking for the guy that... he owes me $1,700.
Really? You never got paid?
No.
What
Not
happened?
only didn't I get paid, but we made the movie in 6 days down on Santa Monica Boulevard.
No, wait a minute. I want to ask you one question first. Before you get to that point, does somebody come to your agent and say, Bruce, I got this wonderful part for you?
An ex-agent, yeah.
Yeah.
He came to me.
Well, that goes without saying. That goes without saying.
He
And you said, what's the part?
These guys are making a movie,
Right.
and they want you to star in it, and you play a doctor. And so I figured, well, you know, Dr. Kildare was on TV and everything. Then I figured, hey, it's going to be a sympathetic doctor. Well, I go down to a workshop on Santa Monica Boulevard. And there is a guy who owns a couple of horses and is a friend of a jockey's that rode at Hollywood Park. I should have known right away I was in trouble. And he said, this is your director, and these are the other people in the cast, and we're going to start right after lunch. And it was about 12:30. And he says, we're going to do this in 6 days. And we started on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at noon. The guy came around with the checks, and he gave everybody a check for what they were supposed to get. And then we went on working. Well, suddenly, one by one, I would look out, and members of the crew were gone. Well, they were gone to Bank of America at Sunset Doheny, where the checks were. And I was an actor, so I had to still stay there. Well, at 5 o'clock we finished. I went to the bank. Of course, my check bounced, because the guy wrote $12,000 worth of checks and deposited only $5,000. So that was one time when if I'd have been a member of the crew, I'd have at least got paid. And we came back Monday and no one was there. The place was boarded up. The sheriff had already put it. And yet the movie has been on TV and everything, and yet you can't find these people that made it.
They just disappeared, so they made whatever they made out of it?
My
and
God. And the jockey never rode again at Hollywood Park. So.
That's crazy. I'm going to go get out of this because we got a break here, and then we can really discuss the picture, because you can't discuss a good picture dressed like this. Robert Klein's also with us, Susan Sullivan, Dr. Carl Sagan. We'll be right back. Okay, now we can discuss like two adult human persons. We're talking to Bruce about Coming Home, which is not a war movie. It only happens in that time frame of reference. And really what it's about, if I can say, because I think
sure.
It's about people's attitudes and where their head is really at concerning that whole affair. People are either think it's gung-ho, which you in the movie first thought, and you come home disenchanted, and John Boyd is a paraplegic who has been there, and Jane Fonda has got mixed emotions about these two fellas. And it's really not a war picture in that sense. It's about their reactions to what has happened, and a love story, and it's beautifully done. Awfully good performances in there. Was that a tough picture to make?
Yeah, it was tough to make because for like 5 years there was a big hands-off policy on the war altogether. You know, nobody wanted to make it, and nobody knew what viewpoint to make it from. And then it is ultimately an entertainment medium. So how do you then present this material to an audience and make it entertaining? And that really, a big credit for that goes to Hal Ashby, because he has that kind of non sequitur sense of humor that he lays back on certain issues that, I mean, paraplegics could be very grim. Guys returning from the war in the state I was in could be very grim. A wife having to go through both sides of this triangle could be very grim. But Ashby's really got a great way of handling that.
There's a light sarcastic touch in there also, time to time, everybody. And the humor is there, and at the same time it has a point of view.
It's really the only way to approach subject matter for the thing we were trying to say like that, because what the movie is really about is the war at home. It was a war that we all saw on television. I mean, every night, you know, for 10 years you saw what was going on there, but we never saw what went on with these guys when they came home, if they came home.
Yeah, right, how it affected them. Boy, and there are hundreds of thousands of them out there, too, in this country.
It's the thing I'm proudest of is it's probably the best collaborative effort I've been in on in a picture from the beginning to the end. I mean, Jane and John and Jerry Hellman and Hal and myself, and I was really I was like the third leg of the triangle. I mean, John and Jane were really actively involved in the anti-war stuff in the late 60s and early 70s, and I wasn't. And my whole representation in the picture is like what I said to them when I started working was like the Rocky Blyer syndrome of Vietnam. In other words, what about the guys that did go over there and that didn't go to Canada and that didn't go to Sweden? What about the guys that felt they did have to fight it? Whether right or wrong, that was their duty, and they went and fought it, and eventually they had to come home. And at the end of this movie, you just kind of sit there and you really don't know quite how to react, and that's exactly what happened when the war was over. Unfortunately, because of Vietnam, the way it ended, there was no VJ Day, because there was nothing to celebrate.
That's for sure.
I mean, the only celebration was when each family, if they were lucky enough to have a member of it come home from there, then that was their celebration, and that was it. And,
we have a small film clip. I think this is the piece where you're coming off the plane and actually returning. Is that what we're going to see? Which kind of shows you your attitude and the relationship you have with your wife at that time. So why don't we roll that? And I don't think it needs any more explanation than that.
Does your leg hurt?
No.
What do you think?
About what?
Our new car.
The Speedster? It's outstanding. Absolutely outstanding.
I'm glad you're back.
Ease, brother.
Peace on you too, brother.
Good picture. Coming Home is a good picture. Are you, when you were in a picture like that, which becomes a hit, how much does that change your career from the standpoint of being able to choose scripts or the availability or the number of scripts that you get? All of a
Or the
sudden.
phone suddenly ringing?
Yeah, all of
when
a
it
sudden
has
say,
to-
hey, Bruce, I want to, yeah.
It changes it a lot.
Does it really?
Yeah, a lot. It's funny, but if you could add a couple of zeros to a couple of the pictures I've been in on the end of the figures the way they totaled out now, I'd be in a lot better shape than I was when I went to work on Coming Home. I mean, if the numbers had changed on Black Sunday, or if the numbers had changed on The King of Marvin Gardens, or a lot of pictures like that, or Smile, you know, I would have had, it would have been a lot easier. I've had to turn a certain kind of a corner in that I've never really been considered a conventional leading man. And that's an area I'm trying to get to, and I've always felt I could do it. And it's very tough to be the
Turn the corners, you say.
the on the fringe guy all the time, you know, on the edge in movies. And
So now all of a sudden people are calling and saying, are you available for this and that?
yes, they'd like me to kiss the girl now and then instead of grab her and hurt her.
Yes, you had a good run of that, grabbing and hurting and screaming and kicking and yelling and gouging for a long time.
Poor mom passed away before she ever saw me hug a girl nicely, you know.
Oh, that's
She just couldn't get
looking
over
at
it.
you on the screen and saying, what have I brought? This is my little boy doing those terrible things.
She always wondered, why can't you go become an actor? Why aren't you playing Jimmy Stewart and Henry Fonda roles now? I mean, why are you playing somebody who's never gotten above the Mason-Dixon line when you've never been below it? You know? Oh, it was
Couldn't
really
quite
tough.
understand the
Oh,
business.
No, they
Yeah.
never have. They just, it's a whole psychology that they never...
Did they think when you became an actor you were going to the devil's workshop or
They
something
thought
like
I was going to make easy, quick money and that it would be over with in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Because I was in the theater, and then when I came to Hollywood, and somehow people from my section of Illinois and Hollywood were like really far, far apart. I mean, they just didn't understand the whole vernacular. You know,
Right.
Hollywood was almost like a dirty word. You know, it's like that Kenneth Anger book, Hollywood Babylon. You know, that's all they'd ever read about it. You know, untrue, partially.
Well, there's a little of that
Although
in there.
Winnetka, we had a few too in Winnetka.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Small towns, don't let them fool you.
Absolutely, Anne Margaret. I mean,
Small
she's
towns.
got a history.
What do you mean, in a small town or what?
No, I mean, we were on the show one night together, and she's from the same town as me.
that's right,
She went to New Trier, which is the same high school at Highland. That's it.
All these people from that same high school? Can't be.
Hey, not only them, Rock Hudson, Charlton Heston, Hugh O'Brien,
All came out of
Ralph Bellamy, Anne Margaret, myself. Yeah, all from a town of 10,000 people. With no drama school. No drama program, just a lot of unhappy kids that couldn't be good at
He said, I want to get out of here. I want to hear laugh. I want to sing.
That's right.
I want to be loved,
I
right?
want a bigger piece of pie, Mom.
I'm going to Hollywood. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Oh, you got to leave, do you? Oh, wait a sec. I didn't know that. You have to
I have to speak.
run and go kiss the girl tonight.
Well, I'm speaking to actually about 1,100 Catholic boys.
Are you really?
Yeah, I am.
Hey, congratulations on the picture. Good picture.
Well,
I
thank
hope you
very
come
much.
back soon.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, Bruce.